My name is Sandra, and I was actually very hopeful by reading the book, Shut the Hell Up. It was very encouraging to me as well. What I thought when I first heard the title, Shut the Hell Up, in my own authentic way, I thought, oh my gosh, what? And my first thought was, I know that's right, and that's normally what I say. And then the second thought was, that's right, tell the devil to shut up. That was my first thought. So those are the things that came to mind when I heard the title. The thing that surprised me most in the beginning of the book as I was reading is that my voice was actually the weightiest voice. And I would think, when you hear the title, Shut the Hell Up, and as I was reading it more and learning that it was really about shutting up voices, I didn't realize that it was my voice that was receiving it. And so the weightiest voice surprised me. I thought, wow, it's mine. So there was a statement, and I want to quote it correctly. It was the voice that, the weightiest voice you live by is by the fruit of what you say. Like the things that I say is what I live by. And that really impacted me because I thought, God, what am I telling myself? What do I say to myself? What do I keep receiving and not letting go of? So that was something that really impacted me. Honestly, I think everyone should read it. And then primarily, I think it's going to benefit Christians because in truth, we get born again, but I think we still have running in the background those things that we lived through in our lives, the traumas, the many things. And while we get born again and we're grateful and we're thankful, there are things that stop us and hinder us. So I think that everyone can benefit from it, especially someone that may be even seeking God or somebody that fumbles upon the book and don't know what it's really about. It may even lead them to God. But I think primarily it will definitely benefit Christians. I would say we should start with this book, Shut the Hell Up, because one, we need to shut the hell up in our minds. And our minds are very fragile. And so many people, including myself, we live with these filters in our brain and our minds and things we've lived through. And I just think it's essential for everybody to read it because it also gives you strategies. Now, it is biblically based, and I will say that on the front side. Everybody should know that it's coming from a spiritual point of view. It's coming from a God point of view, but it's a way out. It is really a way out, and it has helped me immensely. It causes me to think before I receive certain thoughts in my brain, especially if they're negative. And I think we all suffer with these negative thoughts. Absolutely. I am one, just my personality by nature, I am one that will easily be affected by what other people say to me or what they think of me. And so it has helped me in this way. Before I give in to the thought of, oh God, perhaps they're thinking this or feeling some kind of way, I'll stop and think and say that it's not true because what God says about me is true. And I can be my authentic self. I feel free in reading this book that I can fumble if I fumble. I can, if I don't fumble, that's fine too. But I just can be my authentic self and let God do the changing. And so it's helped me in that way that I change my perspective as opposed to thinking or getting down on myself or feeling defeated. The thoughts I think now, I'll go, well, you know what? God says I can cast my cares on him. I can give whatever this is to him. So that's how it's helped me. It's helped me not to indulge in the feelings of self-defeat. It has changed in this way. I don't receive a lot of the negative thoughts I say about myself. And the negative thoughts actually come from a lot of past experiences, as it does with everyone, I'm sure. But I don't live in them now because what I have learned is that I have a choice. I can choose to live in the past, or I can choose to live based on what other people say, or I can choose, again, to live according to what God says about me. And it's not some magical thing. It's just me intentionally saying that's not true. What God says is true, and I can move forward from there. So it's helped me in that way. I have. I think the lines I've made it's going to seem very simple, but not giving in to what I see right before me, and actually practicing my faith, walking by faith as opposed to by sight. And what that really means for me, how it shows up for me is, it's easy for me to look at a person when they're looking at me, because that background noise is always running. You know, Sandra, you're not good enough, or what you say doesn't matter. I press past that, and I've drawn a line in the sand that I'm not going to give in to the thoughts and to the feelings that can appear real, but they're not. Because again, the thing that has really helped me is what God says about me is true. What the Bible writes about me is true. And so I can live in that now. And not to say that it's not a challenge some days. Some days it's more of a challenge than others. But I think what I do now is, rather than like wallow in it or stay there, I press forward. I press forward in the truth that I know. So that's how it's helped me. I think it was practical for me. I saw ways out, actually. I said earlier that I felt very hopeful when I read the book. Because in truth, you know, sometimes I walk around people, even at church, and I may appear a certain way, but my mind is just like going and going. But it gives practical steps how to create an interrupt in your thought process. That's big for me. And I have to create that, because if I don't, you know, I'm an extrovert by nature, but when something's going on, I get real quiet. And it's not, you can see, it shows on my face. I never can hide. I'm not what they call the poker face person. I'm not that one. So it helps me to create an interrupt. It does, whether I feel it or not. And it feels crazy at the time, in the middle of creating that interrupt. You feel like you're being a fraud, but I know that I'm not. I know that I'm doing something that's against the grain. And because, you know, the world says, live by your feelings, you know, do what you feel. And I do the opposite of what I'm feeling. So creating the interrupt is a big thing for me. I'll give an example. I may walk in to church on Sunday, and I'm a part of the setup team, and I'm like, good morning, I'm feeling good. But the thing that has hindered me sometimes, if I see someone's face and they look like they're not having a good morning and I'm all cheerful, I'll be tempted to dim my light. And then the interrupt happens when I say, that's not my issue. And I don't mean it in a way to hurt anybody, but that's not my issue. Whatever they're dealing with, I can still be my cheerful, bubbly self and just be, good morning. You know, so that's my interrupt. I tell myself that's not something I have control over. I don't know what they're going through, and it's not a unconcerned thing. It's just, that's the thing that has to help me, because otherwise I'll dim my light, I'll get quiet, and I'll just give in to the atmosphere as opposed to affecting the atmosphere. There are some significant passages or chapters that affected me that I absolutely loved. And the first one was chapter 3. And I'm going to go to what I wrote, what affected me in chapter 3. In chapter 3, you gave a story about a package, receiving a package at the door. And the basic emphasis of the story is, what if the package came and it was in somebody else's name? Would you stand there passively and receive the package? And I thought, that's idiotic. But contrasting it to spiritual life, I have received many packages that didn't have my name. And so it made an impact on me, and because I have a choice. I don't have to let the voices assault me and attack me. I can get rid of the package. I can reject the package. Like, I don't have to receive the package. And it makes sense not to, because one, it does not have my name on it. So why would I stand there and take it? So that had a great impact on me, and I think that's one of the things I would share with someone. I think anybody could relate to that. Oh, there was another one. In chapter 5, the statement that impacted me greatly is, the weightiest voice is each believer's internal vocalization of fear, doubt, or just, you know, living by your inner and past experiences, things that are traumatic to you. And what it does, and I know that it has done it, I've allowed it to do it in my life many times. It restricts the flow of God's, me growing in Christ. It restricts that. And so I feel stuck. And that's why I said, too, in reading Shut the Hell Up, it really impacted me in the way that I feel hope. Like I feel a way out. Because I have walked around pretty much all my Christian life, with this secret, if you will. Because most of us, it's a secret. We don't share it with one another because we don't want to look unspiritual or, as if we're walking by faith, when actually we really aren't. We're walking by fear. So that's how it affected me. What I will say is this: press the button, get the book. Don't be confused by the title. Be intrigued by the title, because when you get the book, it's going to transform your life. Be you a Christian or a non-Christian. I will say this: once you read the book, I believe you'll find hope. I believe you'll see truth. I believe you'll see yourself in it. It's authentic, it's real, and it has real life examples of why we need to shut the hell up in our brain. We have to shut it up, because if we don't, we'll never live a life of freedom. We'll never live a life of authenticity. We'll always be stuck in this rut of living in respect to what others think, afraid to move out of whatever position we're in life. And I just think that it's going to be something that's going to transform you forever. And I would advise you to read it. I've read the manuscript, and it has been life-changing for me. So get the book and allow yourself to shut the hell up.